All right. Hello, everybody. Okay, cool. All right, everything still works. Yeah, howdy. It is me. We are currently staring down the barrel of a prompt in a very terrifying blank page. Forgive the bootleg appearance of this stream. It's kind of wonky, but got a bit. Hang on. That nah. But I'll probably make like a more appropriate screen for like this. I might make like a little HUD or something for it so that it kind of looks more like a document. But as of right now, this is what we've got. I just got this pulled up on a Microsoft 365 window, so it's nothing too special. But it's got the basics. We've got all the font options. This is Calibri, by the way, over here. But yeah, I wanted to crop it a bit just so that it's like more focused on the page here, and also so I don't accidentally like show anything I don't want to. But as it currently stands, this is what we got. So our prompt today is write about a character whose job it is to bring water to people. I looked at a website that had a bunch of prompts on it, and this was the one that looked like I could work with the best. I'm kind of pigeonholed as an author, I think, because I've got only like a handful of genres I really like writing in, and post-apocalyptic is one of them. I like writing westerns, I like writing post-apocalyptic, I like writing things that are fantastical, but I don't actually like writing just fantasy, especially since like you know how like everyone who gets into fantasy writing always starts their fantasy with like three paragraphs of world building. I'm not really into that. I instead I like to just drop right into it. So yeah. So anyway, our current prompt: write about a character whose job it is to bring water to people. Basically, what we're doing is we're just gonna outline this real quick. I think. I'll just spitball some ideas, settle on one outline, and then like maybe write a couple paragraphs and see where we're at in like 2 hours, and then see how I'm feeling about it. And then maybe once we've got some distance in, I might I'll like close this out, finish it up, and then maybe like post it somewhere on Twitter. But to start, we're gonna need an idea. Character whose job it is to bring water to people. I think this would if the character's whole job is to bring water to people, that usually I think like implies that obviously they're in an area where people need water and can't go get water themselves. So this could probably be like someone who works for like a sports team, or maybe someone who maybe is like supposed to set maybe it's someone who sets out those little water bottles, all those like press conferences whenever they have someone who's famous like out at like a desk or something, and they're supposed to talk about stuff. Like they always have like little water bottles out. There's that one video of like that. I think she's like an idol girl who like drinks it and looks kind of disappointed or something like that. I don't know, but there's a few different applications. What I was thinking was something a little bit more fantastical. I was thinking about like maybe like a post-apocalyptic desert nation where there's like really limited water holes, and then maybe someone who's like got a duty that's like sacred, like brings the water down to people who need it. So we'll probably start this up. We'll probably open this up with a paragraph that just goes like, we've got like our introduction. We'll open it up with like MC role, like his role as like a water carrier. Um, do like a overview of like setting travelers, because if it's like a really big wide area that's got like a lot of like disparate communities, then they've probably got like nomadic caravans and things like that is what I'm thinking. Kind of like the Mojave Wasteland and like Fallout New Vegas. You might if I do more of these streams, you might notice that I'm really really heavily inspired by New Vegas, and a lot of other video games. More video games more than books, which is kind of backwards for an author. But hey, I'm making it work, I think. So like we'll get like a quick introduction. The character will be like, I'm a water carrier, and then like describe like what he does and like why he goes back and forth. I usually default to having like a male MC because that's the perspective I relate the most to. But I think I've written a woman or two, and I was told I wasn't bad at it. Turns out the The old you know that old tip people have when it comes to writing women is like just write a man. Like however you write men, it shouldn't really be that different from writing a woman, just because it's like, you know, unless you explicitly want to comment on like things that are unique to each gender, like the middle there's a lot of overlap. They're not like a different species or anything. But anywho, yeah, overview of setting travelers. We'll have like a gonna need something a little spicy, like kind of. I guess we'd like describe watering hole, watering hole, slash like living space. That way we like establish like a sort of like state of being before we introduce something to like throw. We need to like establish what the main character like does, and like establish what normality is before we come in and like fuck it up. So we'll need a conflict. I think it would go against the meaning of the prompt if we did something like violent, like bandits coming in, or like a warlord trying to take over the oasis or something like that. That'd be a better way to describe it. Will be oasis. Well, would it be? Would it be maybe an existential threat, like something that's drying the water up, or that could be something like the watering hole's drying up, and then the main character has to like look at it and like kind of take stock of like what he's doing, and like how this is his lifestyle, and like he needs to, and then he needs to like pick up and then like leave, and like he doesn't know how to do that. Oh, Bladed Coronet, thank you for the follow. Yeah, I'm just spitballing right now. But yeah, we're gonna need a conflict. So we could make it so that one of the groups of travelers coming in has a problem. What can we do? Well, what would a fantasy desert nation have as an issue? Like a drought? No, well, no, that wouldn't. It's a desert. I don't I don't think that would quite work. We could do like because we do need like another character or two, so we could be like unusual traveler comes in with like what else? Being chased, maybe? No. Chased by what? No, we need to bring this back around to water, because that's like I kind of want to stick to what the prompt offers us opportunistically. So like we need to look at water and like what it symbolizes, because it's like water is life, right? It's like an essential element of of like what makes like a living creature, what makes us, you, me, especially me. I'm a fruit. But it's like we're gonna need to bring it around to that, and like what that represents, and how our character, our main character, as a water carrier, can like provide something to it. Not something silly like, oh, there's a fire. Oh, and you're the water carrier. Ooh, maybe you can go fix that. And then he dumps water on the fire, and they're like, we're saved. We're saved. Amazing work. That'd be kind of boring. Oh, we could say that the traveler is like very sick, maybe. Very sick, needs regular care. We could also like maybe do like a compound conflict, like also bring up that like the maybe like I like the idea of the oasis is like drying out. I think that's a thing that happens. So the traveler comes in. Traveler's really sick. We're gonna need something internal too. I think I'm a really big fan of introspection and internal character conflict. So what would we do with that? Because we could do like the traveler coming in is sick, but sick with what? That's another thing. I'm just throwing ideas out there. Honestly, one thing that happens a lot is that I'll like have a very fixed story idea like in my head, and then after working on it for like an hour, I'll just toss it out and then redo like a good chunk of it. That's a big part of writing, I feel like, is like the willingness to just admit that your words aren't sacred, and then just going over it again. Like you need to have a certain a certain callousness to yourself to like toss a chunk of it away and then just be like, nope, this is just bad. It's hurting me. It's put me into a corner. I need to let it go and then just rewrite because you know you wrote that thing originally. You can write something else that's just as good, if not better. Like, you have to trust in yourself a bit. That's one part of it. Like trust yourself as a writer, but also trust yourself as an editor. Anywho, yeah, we've got a conflict. I'm just gonna like set up the rest of this outline real quick. We're getting a conflict, a development, and then like a climax, and then a resolution. I'm very fixed on I'm very fixed on like the classic conflict graph. I don't really write as I go. I'm also like a big planner. That was I've taken some classes in creative writing. That's why I pretend like I'm some kind of expert. But I'm not published yet though, so I'm not up there yet. But one thing that's kind of classic about one thing I heard from my teacher that I'm really trying to like incorporate to my approach is just that like if you're a writer and you're a dreamer, like there's dreamers and then there's planners, right? So planners like meticulously like write out everything that happens and develops in their story, whereas dreamers just kind of like dreamers wouldn't even do this shit. They would just kind of go, "All right, so like once upon a time," and then they just go nuts. They just ride off into the sunset and then see where it takes them. And both of those have their strengths and weak. Both those approaches have their strengths and weaknesses, but ideally you should do a mix of both. So because the issue with planners, an issue I have a lot is that usually because they plan everything, they make everything a lot more predictable. Whereas dreamers, when what they do is that they'll go and they'll come up with all sorts of crazy stuff because it's like in the moment and they're kind of embracing like the sort of unpredictability of like their momentary whimsy. But they also tend to write in circles. They don't go anywhere because they don't have a plan. They don't have a goal. So I want to set up like the basic building blocks here. Maybe we can like leave some aspects of it like up for later development. But for right now, I kind of want to get the basic building blocks set up and then see how I feel about it as we go in. But yeah, so unusual traveler comes in. What makes them unusual visually? Maybe it's like they've got like a foreign like style of dress, maybe. If it's a desert nation, it's probably going to be they probably have like really breathable materials, so like a light cloth or something like that, and it's probably full body coverage in order to in order to protect themselves from the sun, which is why like you might notice that in like real life desert places like the Sahara or like the Middle East or something, it's like generally people tend to cover up just to avoid sunburn. Like a mysterious style of dress. Maybe like I don't know, a really generic way to do this would be to put like make it like a woman in a dress and just be like, oh my God, you're the daughter of the Sultan. Oh shit, there's guards coming after you. I gotta help you out or something like that. We could do that, but I don't know. It's not really what I want to write right now. There is a good story there. You could probably make like a nice cheesy love story out of that. Just put that out there. I'm sure people would love that. I don't think there's anything wrong with writing something that's kind of tropey because people still I think there's still demand for it, and it's a trope because it worked. It's a trope because it worked, and it's probably worked multiple times, but it worked so well that people kept doing it, and then it stopped being interesting because not because it on its own merits is bad, but because people just got tired of it. And we're gonna need to settle on a conflict before we do the rest of this, so that's why I'm kind of struck here. The Oasis is dying out, but why? Why would it be drying out? Is there like a... We have to tie these together, so something about the Traveler can help deal with the Oasis, or like maybe deal with like the... Maybe like MC doesn't want to leave, so like he doesn't want to leave, and then like the Oasis just drying out, so he has to go like, you know, lived his whole life by the water. we'll say lost connection to the world. We could like we could probably do that. We could probably do like a thing with that in the introduction. Just be like describe Oasis living space. Whole world comes in batches with traders. Like just kind of describe because like maybe the main character's just lived his whole life like by this oasis and like gets all this stuff from these traders. So like he just kind of goes and so like he doesn't really know what's out there, so he's kind of scared of it because he's just been stuck by like he's just been stuck in like his own little like I guess like square mile of land and like hasn't gone anywhere. There's probably like I think the reason that he hasn't been fucked around with much is probably gonna be like you know we'll say MC is like a water carrier. We'll say this is like a maybe like a sacred duty, and then like receives. We'll call them tithes, I guess, from travelers. So like say that he has like say that he just kind of gets the like when he brings water to the travelers, their method of recompense is to give him like some wares if he needs them. Just be like, hey, do you need anything, man? Like you know, because he's the one that maintains the area, keeps animals from coming around and like contaminating like the water source possibly. Because like you know how like that's how like water holes in the U.S. got like when travelers were on the Oregon Trail. That's how they would get like dysentery and stuff like that. They'd they'd have some trouble with like they'd go and then drink from some water and like an animal that was carrying some sort of like internal disease like drank from the hole and then like passed what they had into the water. So like as a result it kind of like they had like a bacterial infection in there that they got from that. So maybe like you know like part of like this duty that the water carrier has is to like not just maintain like the facilities that allow him to receive water like the you know like a I don't know that would just be a bucket, wouldn't it? So like you know but not doesn't just allow the water carrier to like oh yeah maybe like collect store water for people but also to like keep to like ward off like animals disease, maybe protect the oasis when like the weather gets bad and like sand's supposed to come in, maybe like collecting water too when it occasionally rains, something like that. So like water carrier, we could say like collects rain, like wards off sickly animals. Can't ward off all the animals because that would just disrupt the ecosystem. Um, protects waters from sand. Okay, we're fleshing our character out at least. That's good. Very stick, foreign style of dress. What would a foreign style of dress be? Like a suit? maybe like maybe someone from like a nation that's like more developed, more industrial. Maybe from like up north or something where it's more cool. Could be like maybe something like that. Suit slash. I'm partial to make the traveler like a dude just to avoid the whole. I don't know. I get hesitant whenever I have when I have just two characters in a setting and then like I have a man and a woman like because like I feel like nearly every setup with just a man and just a woman just always leads to them like falling in love or whatever. I've read way too many like cheesy pseudo romantic like old novels, especially in French. Do you have any? I had to take a few French classes, and the funny thing about it is that like a couple of them were French literature, like in French. And the funny thing I noticed about the French stories that we received, at least, I don't think they're all like this, but like most of the French stories we had to read were like man from France goes somewhere, man meets woman at new place, man and woman fall in love, dance, kiss, whatever. Woman is magic or associated with some magical thing, and because of the magical thing woman must go away forever or like leave the man and the man must leave, and then they both split up, man goes back to France and is just sad forever. That's like the stereotypical like French romantic tragedy. I've read like three different stories that were exactly that. It was kind of wild. uh Anywho, yeah, like a dude in a suit. Maybe like he I don't want it to feel like he's like bringing the wonders of technology and that's what deals with the Oasis drying out. Maybe someone who like maybe someone who like hmm hmm what am I thinking of? Because maybe the person should be like magical or like have some knowledge. Because like what makes an oasis dry out, right? It's like it just seems kind of natural, just like the lack of rain. The like just kind of a because there's just like little pockets of water that build up in like that build up in like a pocket of sand, right? Hang on, let me look that up. New window. There we go. Hang on, I'll give me a second. I need to do research. This is the fun part. All right, Oasis formation. Let's see what that pulls up. Oh, thank you, Geography Realm. How desolate, lonely, and isolated landscape can be. We're on the right track, everybody. Each and every oasis is different and can be created because of a few factors. Oases can be naturally formed or man-made. Water sources can come from the underground aquifer or river that creates enough pressure for water to seep to the surface. Okay. I always thought it was just like I guess that would make sense because it barely ever rains. So like, why would water collect in like one single spot? Yeah, that makes sense. Oases, proving the extraordinary nature of oases a geographical feature. Certain other geological factors also influence how an oasis gets its water, rock layers, Okay, so if we're looking at an oasis, we're looking at like a rocky area that has like a divot that has like water and it's seeping in from like an underground aquifer, and then like around it is gonna be like I guess like palm trees, desert trees. What kind of desert are we gonna make this? I usually in the interest of like maintaining avoiding trying like the usual pitfalls that come with trying to write for a culture that's not my own, I generally set most of my stuff in America. Desert tree. We could set this in the Mojave, like say after like some kind of like after some kind of like global collapse, maybe maybe we could put this in like the Mojave Desert and like I don't know. I've got a setting that I made for like a D&D game once that had like it's fantasy but also post-apocalyptic, so that kind of allows for like the marriage between the sort of like desolate like radioactive landscape, not radioactive, but like desolate ruined landscape, but also there's like elves and dwarves and magic and stuff. Maybe we could use that. We should probably like take a note of like introduction, overview of setting travelers. Okay, so setting, we're gonna need to take some notes on this. Setting would be desert, obviously. Desert area, lightly populated. Isolated. We could have this take place in Nevada. I don't really want to... I don't know, I'd feel weird if we set this somewhere like the, if we set this somewhere like in the, what's that desert out there called? Yeah, if we set this somewhere around like the fucking Arabian desert and I name the guy fucking something Ibn al I'm not. I'd feel weird doing that because I feel like I'd be like co-opting something I don't know enough about to write a story about. We could set this in the. We could set it in Death Valley. That could work. Nah, are there oases in Death Valley? I think Death Valley's just bone dry. We could set it in the Mojave. I don't know. Like take a look. Would the Mojave Desert be appropriate? I'm thinking about somewhere like really dry. Oh, no, yeah, they have them. Colorado and Sonora deserts. And what's the Colorado desert look like? Is that a good place to set our little story here? Oh yeah, that's bone dry, motherfucker. Ooh. Yeah, I think I've seen this place before. I think driving west. Yeah. I don't think it's like sand, but it's definitely like a lot of shrubbery and like dried dirt and such. Yeah, we can do that. We'll set it in the Colorado desert. Colorado desert. Main character. I don't know. We could just like avoid using names altogether. That's an option easily with a short story. Just name like the water carrier, the traveler. This also makes the suit make more sense because maybe it's someone from like a more populated, like less destroyed area. Yeah, okay, we could do this. So development would be like traveler becomes healthier under C's care. So that's definitely a thing that's gonna happen. They begin talking, sharing their stories. This is gonna be very character and dialogue driven, I guess. Development. So it looks like the main. I think this is gonna be our main primary conflict is like the MC not wanting to leave, and then like having an internal struggle as to whether to stay or go. And like at first we could make him we could make him very stubborn about it at the start, just so that like, because we wanna make sure there's like some punch to like this conflict as we're like going through it and developing it. I hope this is entertaining for you guys. What else? Healthy under MC's care, begin talking. But also do. Honestly, I could split this stream up, just do the outlining today and like some of like the initial some of the initial writing and then following that up with like an actual the actual story writing. Get into like the nitty gritty of it. Really becomes healthy under MC's care. Begin talking, sharing their stories. Climax resolution. Say travel. Nope. Bad at typing. Sorry. Traveler connects with MC. Connects with them. Connects with them over what? They're gonna be very different people. Travelers from back east. I always do this. No, actually no. We'll say back west. We'll say he's from the coast. Let me check something real quick. Where does an oasis get its water? Okay. Also getting to leave. Back west, more development, so Healthy under MC's care. Next resolution. Supplies. What does it imply? Supplies, wealth, and civilization. Also very out of place. Instead of it being like, since this takes place in America now, so like maybe instead of having like, you know, like cloth, they could also have like no, they'd probably be dressed about the same. Not too different. We'll just assume this is like way after something like completely just changed the landscape or whatever. Completely like wiped out civilization as we know it. Made like the world was like made anew or something like that. Want to like create some mystery here, perhaps. Uh, One of my favorite things about a good apocalypse is like kind of not having 100% of an idea of what fucking happened. Like and just kind of seeing a world that's like really different, and you kind of assume that it's like it's some sort of like alternative fantasy world, and then you see something that like just kind of makes you go, "Oh yeah, this is on Earth." I love that shit. Like that Planet of the Apes like ending thing where it's just like you find out it's like, "Oh yeah, no, this is Earth," and then you go, What? Like, oops. So of course the traveler can't convince the MC initially. I don't know. We'll deal with this when we get to it. I'm planning too much again. Climax would probably be like something forces MC out. Travelers. Traveler probably like saves them or something. We'll get to them when we get to that. Let's get some writing done. I think I'm gonna cap this stream off in like an hour, and then we'll after that I'll just kind of clean it up. Maybe do like another stream where we work on this a bit more because I'm starting to feel well, A, I'm starting to feel kind of shy, and also B, like I don't think I can write for long. I don't think I can write for 2 hours. I'm gonna be real with you. I need it to like percolate in the brain a bit more, so that like the ideas have time to sort of settle. But for right now, we're gonna have to open up. I'm a fan of the cold open, where it just kind of goes, oh yeah, bam, you're here. So, but this is gonna need a little introduction because it's an unusual setting. I feel like the waters. Oh. Like the life of a water carrier. Solitary one. Is this gonna be first person or third? We'll do third person. Solitary one. Take up the duty of delivering sacred. Take up the duty of delivering sacred waters. Nah, we don't want to do that. Let's see. No. To carry the water is to no. How do we follow up from here? I'm a very thinky guy. I like to parse over my words when I write this. I can't just like like some people do. Water carries a solitary one. Pisces. And protected from the influence. God, I need to get better at typing. Maybe I should take some touch typing lessons. And no. Nature made the Oases, that wouldn't make too much sense. Okay. I'm a real I get real thirsty over alliteration, so we could do like from the influence of dust and disease. So that. The waters remain cure for those that need it. Those that need it. Not the sick animals though. They can get fucked, I guess. Okay, we've got to start. There's a in Sunless Skies. There's a one of the ways you can progress is that you when you launch when you start the game you can go into a what was it? You can go in. You pick a goal, right? And like a couple of the goals are kind of like one of the goals is kind of rote. It's just, oh yeah, you just make a shit ton of money. So that's why that's one ending. But another one's like you want to write a story. So you want to collect a bunch of stories and then write like a big long poem, like an epic poem essentially, with multiple cantos that basically go out, that basically gets sent out and like kind of makes your legend in ink essentially. And that is one of the endings. And I think my favorite thing about it is that when you start the game's just like you sit down at like you sit down at like at a typewriter with a blank page. And I think the way the game describes it is just like your typewriter, the blank monstrous page. And I think that's like the best way to describe it. But yeah, the best way to get started on a story is just to like, just write a few sentences, like get some words on there, do something, like try to get it to take shape. Because if you let the blank page scare you, it's gonna slow you down a lot. Just because and if any of you are out there going like, oh yeah, why would a page scare me that much? It's because it's kind of before a story takes form, before it gets put on the paper, it could be anything. It could be infinitely great, it could be infinitely garbage, and you don't know yet. So it's important to like put some words on paper and then maybe just like give the like have the introduction take some form first, and then like maybe after that build up. Also, just to reiterate, I'm not some great writer or anything. I just have a little bit of experience. That's it. Anywho, yeah, the reason I don't know. Another thing about writing that's awful is that like in the process, it's very common apparently to like in the process of writing just kind of go, oh god, I'm awful, I'm a fucking fake, and then just never have it like never have it come out. I experience that all the time. It's a thing that has slowed me down significantly. So you know, it, it's common. If you ever write a story and you feel like halfway through you're some kind of creature that's masquerading as an author and you're never going to put out anything of worth, just to let you know you're not alone in that, and it's not a real feeling. You need to just do it. Just put something out there, cuz I'm not going to lie. Some some garbage gets out there and people read it. So like you can't be the worst. You absolutely cannot be the worst. You just need to trust in yourself and just maybe get things out there. Just keep working at it, keep developing your craft, keep trying. I'm I've been really bad about I've been really bad about this because I feel awkward every time I try to write a story because I keep like my brain keeps popping up with like little problems that it has, and like that's one of the reasons why I've been really bad at building up like a habit or like discipline when it comes to actually writing things. But yeah. Anywho, let's just get the introduction down on paper, just for at least get the introduction, then maybe like introduce the traveler before we close out for today. So the waters remain clear and pure for those that need it. We've got 200 words. That's like a day's worth of writing we've got so far. Not in the story. This is I have no idea. No, that's 37 words. We'll get there. If we can write a cool 300 to 500 words today, I'll be fucking happy. Mm, some people say you're supposed to write 1,000, but usually when people write 1,000 a day, it's like most of those words are not crazy. It's more like just shotgun 1,000 out and then edit. But like I try to write 500 and make sure that I'm happy with how they look so far. But yeah, words off, terrible, absolutely awful. I'm a fraud. Protects waters from sand. I don't know how like justifiable that concern is, but whatever. Sacred duty, yeah. Great reverence. We want to emphasize. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, writing's one of the reasons why I have a weird habit. I think when I think it's more in like words than it is in like images. I heard some people think in like images or like sounds even, and like I'm not at all like that. I think in words. But one thing that's kind of awkward about it is that it's like one thing that's awkward about it is that like I'll be thinking through something kind of intensely, like something I want to say to someone or something that I would say if I was in a situation that I'm imagining, and I will think that in my head, and then I'll mouth out the words that I want to be saying or thinking, and then while I exhale, it'll sound like I'm whispering the words under my breath, which according to an old roommate of mine sounds like fucking demonic whispering. It sounds like I'm like communicating with demons in tongues or something like that. And I actually did it once while we were in the middle of playing League of Legends. So like I was just kind of like mumbling to myself going and then like my friend was going like, "Oh god, no, he's summoning a demon. It's going bad and it's going bad in mid lane." Yeah, no, that's awkward, but it is useful for writing because like I kind of think my sentences out before I write them. So and our gift and the receivers of our gift in the process. Return. I don't know. If I wanted to write like a whole mythology like with this like setting, I'd probably have like a different name for water carrier. But this is a short story that I'm coming up with like on the spot, so we'll just stick with carrier. The carrier receives what he needs. It's proper tribute for his efforts. In the blasted, no, the heat. Okay, wait, we're trying to say dry. Some in the sweltering? Say like under the sweltering gaze of the sun. In the what's a term for dry I could use? Desiccated? That's more for like herbs and such, isn't it? Let me look that up so I don't seem like too much of a buffoon. Desiccated. Yeah. No, it could work. Okay. Expanse, stretch, sands, dirt. Yeah, well, expanse. This is the Colorado Desert, right? The Mojave and the Colorado Desert are like separate, right? Hang on. Colorado Desert. California. Wait, hang on. Where is this? Oh, why is it called the Colorado Desert? What the fuck? Okay, never mind. I was totally off. We're in New Mexico. I thought we were in like Arizona or something. Oh, this is the Mojave. All right, fuck it. This is the. We'll just call it the Great Desert. I don't know. It doesn't really matter where it is, I guess. What matters is that it's dry. Okay, we're in the fucking desert. We're in the desert. It's hot. It's dry. There's not a lot of water, so water's sacred. Let's get expanse of the Great Desert. Carrier is a savior to many a travel to savior to source of much needed reprieve. One that in the eyes of those he helps. Because what we want to emphasize here is that he's like because this is a sacred duty he's committing to. It puts him in like a level of like social consideration that's above most of the people he interacts with, which creates an inherent barrier that prevents them from like chatting and becoming more friendly with each other. That's what I wanna communicate here. Hmm. Not quite a priest. He doesn't preach, but he's kind of like a monk, I guess, is what I think I'm kind of making here, because he probably eats very little, probably eats just like prickly pear fruits and stuff like that. Um. Wait. This not no, no. Ignore. Sacred rites, like rituals. His rights and duties without fail. He is a savior. They want to do one more rule of three. That's usually how it works. He's a savior. He is a life. In a world of death? Nah. Sign of life. I don't know, in a dying world, I guess. In a dying world. And then he is alone. There we go. I always like doing this, like this sort of like build up like an expectation in an image, and then cut it straight down to get to the point. Ooh, well, good start. We've established our character, touched a little bit on the setting. Keep their distance from the oasis, they offer their flasks, and what else do people hold water in barrels? A little awkward, but whatever. For their flasks and barrel. This is gonna be a this honestly has the potential to be a cute little story about like a very, very lonely man meeting a friend. He provides his canteens and canisters. Water. Given. Water's good. Spoken. There we go. That's more parallel. I like that. They watch him with tired, thirsting eyes. That's a little weird. That's weird. I don't want to describe it like that. With tired, reverent. Do we want to use the word reverent again? Have we used that before? No, we don't. Yeah, we can use it before. I'm a little wary of using the same word too many times and like consecutively because it sounds weird, you know. That's a very easy nitpick for a writer, just to let you know. Just like little bits and pieces where they're like, oh yeah, you used while 3 times in 3 consecutive sentences, and then the author will be like, fuck, I'm fucked, or something like that. It's just there's a lot of little things in writing that you wouldn't think about like naturally, but it does lead to trouble. There's also things like I've had people complain that I used I or he like too much consecutively, and I have yet to figure out how to get around that. Because things read easier when they're more varied, and like you need to vary up your sentence structure, you need to vary up your sentence beginnings, you need to vary up all sorts of crazy shit, and it's very inconvenient when you have when you have a set like a thing you want to communicate, but it leads you to like making like very similar sounding sentences, and there's like nothing you can. It doesn't feel like there's anything you can do about it. There probably is, but it requires like a lot of rewriting. It's always frustrating whenever you find out about that like too late. I've had someone be like, oh, you use I too many times here, and I'm like, it's in first person. What do I do? Of course there's I all over the place. We've got a... That's how I refer to the guy doing everything. But yeah, that's how it is. With tired or reverent eyes. Too afraid to speak. Or meditation. Honestly, you could easily make this like a cute little love story where there's just this lonely guy out in the desert who's just caring for like this oasis. And then like someone comes by and is just bothers to talk to him, and he's like, and then like he like barely responds, and then they're like, okay, well maybe I'll see you again. He's like, okay, and then they just keep coming by, and then he starts like, you know, he starts seeing that person talk to him again, and then goes like, "Oh my, oh, there's the guy," and then like they talk more and have like longer conversations, and then at some point he's like, "Take me with you," something like that. That could be cute. But I'm bad at writing romance, so we're not doing that. Hmm. Too afraid to speak or make conversation. All right, where are we at now? The lonely little boy. I assume our character's probably like in his 20s, is what I'm guessing. 20, like mid to late 20s, maybe. Like old enough to know what he's doing, because like because like he was trained to do. We'll say he was like trained to do this at like 18 or something. No, not 18, like 13. There we go. Like really young, and then just has been doing it for like 10 plus years. Not too afraid to speak, too cautious. Speaker make. Don't say the most person within 100 miles. That makes sense. What does one say? No one ever dared to try, like try speaking. I don't know. We'll roll with that for right now. Might rewrite that later. Okay, we're currently at. We're at 212 words. That's pretty good. It's acceptable, I think, for a little for the amount of time we've spent. It's a little. I'm a little on the slower side when it comes to writing, but it's not like it's a race or anything. This is also all. There's also all of this, so like this is like another. There's like another like 200 words right here. Let's get through the rest of the introduction, and then I think I'll close this out. So we've covered all of our main points. I think we've kind of like touched on this. Whatever. Let's take a look. See, Colorado Desert, or well, Mojave, or whatever. See if we can find a spot. Oh yeah, this place. Place is something. Gila Bend. What is that place? There is a town in Arizona called Gila Bend out by the Colorado Desert. Also, Dateland. I fucking love this. Found a gun range in the middle of the desert. Radical. I'm just looking at Google Maps right now to see if we can find a place to park our character, our protagonist here. There's a river. God damn. Wildlife refuge. It's a little awkward because I guess Oases is usually where these towns would actually spring up instead of it being like its own little like spot. There's a tiny little place called New Hope. We will park ourselves. Bondamont, Arizona. It's a cattle ranch I'm looking at right now. Yeah, sure, we'll put it around there. North of New Hope. We'll do like a little break here. There's a page break up here, but we'll just roll with this for right now. I like doing like was it doing like a couple of hyphens and then I'll middle align it right there. There we go. Just to emphasize like a split, because I want there to be like a clear. This is all set up. This is all set up, and then we're getting to like the actual meat of it. We've gone wide to explain like the setting and like the situation that we're at, and then we're narrowing down to what we're actually doing with the characters. Carrier that lived north of New Hope Junction. Caravan passed by with okay. I stuck with dates and raisins. I don't know if they can grow dates out in Arizona, but I just kind of figured. Because like the thing about dates and yeah, dates and raisins, because like you want like desiccated stuff so that'll last a while. Caravan faded. Yeah, so just just making it very clear here that it's like okay, the caravan's moved on. This guy is lonely. Have you clued in that he's lonely yet? I put on a lot of effort to make you think that he's lonely. But yeah, just emphasizing that there's like sort of like a dullness to this lifestyle. Because it's like usually The monastic life, definitely. I'm not trying to knock it or anything, but I do think it's not for everyone, and that someone who's young and got rolled into it might not want to stick around once they get older and realize that there's just a whole world and a whole life they could be living otherwise. I think that's what I'm trying to get to here. Not what I was planning when I originally started outlining, but kind of that's like the magic of going from an outline to like actual writing and just being willing to be flexible. Sometimes things pop out and you're not sure, and you'd be surprised. Ugh. I'm about to say something kind of disgusting, but I think it's really funny, so I'm going to, I'm gonna bring it up. But I was kind of looking at some prompts out of a book that I had. It was, I have a book called 300 Writing Prompts, and I was thinking about using that originally for my for like the source of the prompt here instead of my previous instead of going on the website that I did end up using. By the way, if you want to check out like the list of prompts I was looking at, I put that up on Twitter. There's a link. It's the tweet that mentions that we're streaming now live, and at like below that is the link of where I grabbed all the prompts from. But the where we're at right now is that the where we're at right now is that like the book I had was called 300 Writing Prompts, and I was flipping through it expecting to see 300 creative writing prompts. But what I actually got is that like a good half of them are more like journaling prompts. It's like, oh, if you were an inanimate object, what would you be? And I was like, okay. But I did find one that was like, oh, if you could see through the eyes of like an object in your room, like just imagine you're seeing through the eyes of an object of your room and like write down what their thoughts would be. And I just kind of had this. I don't have one of these, but I was just imagining like I was just imagining like if someone wrote for that, and then like they had like an anime figurine in their room, and then they just kind of described they just described the thing's thoughts as it was like inserted into a jar. You know where I'm going with this, but like I fucking I thought of that and I was like, ew. I didn't really want to open with that with this thing, so we stuck with something else, something a bit more serious, But yeah, Silent Hope in the back was mine for something new. Last there's. I think I might have the Traveler, uh, in an aviator suit. I'm be injured instead of sick. Crap, like, flew over and crash landed. And, like, have him be have him be an aviator. I'll open the back of his mind for something new. I can just imagine, like a situation where it's just... No, we'll get to it. Stick out and last. He still had a, whistle... That's a word? God damn. Yeah, this is. If you're wondering why my vocab is kind of weird, it's because my brain keeps trying to find like large, impressive sounding words because that's just kind of what I got accustomed to when I was writing. Scolded her for her presumptuousness. This is kind of this is a weird place to put this statement sentence. Where am I gonna progress from here? I know. I do know. I do know what I'm gonna do like after that. It really agonizes me whenever I have like an idea for like a later thing that's gonna happen. Like we'll have a as a reminder. We'll like open up this. It'll be like. There we go. We'll save that for when our second character is about ready to crash land. Take a look. See. So far we've got. Right character's job is bring water. Light water carries solitary one. Monk of the Sands alone. Yeah, yeah. Good start. Good start. How many words have we read? Sorry, this is like a thing I just check intermittently. Ever since I started trying to like write like 200 to 500 words a day. Gotta stick on last. Gift a word. There we go. You ever get that feeling when like you're like it's like this how did it I guess welling pit in the chest is a good way to describe it, but it's like you're just kind of sitting there and you're just kind of dissatisfied. Like you get this sense of like, oh god, like life could be different, you know? And then you're like you're just kind of mad about it for a little bit, and there's just sort of like frustrated, like impotent feeling like in your chest that's just like fuck, I want things to be different. I wish things were different. I want to be a different person. I want to be living a different life. I want to be in a different world. I don't want to be here like this now, bogged down and like held down by the things that I've currently got going on. You ever be like that? That's what I'm trying to get at here. I always feel like it gets like right in my chest, like right above my solar plexus. Just like fuck. Fuck. I definitely need to flesh out this little section here. This definitely needs additional work. But this'll work for now. Well, I want to introduce our new character before we close out the stream today. He's concerned. He. I'm sick right now. If I maybe they were kind of confusing. Craned his head upwards and bore witness. Ball of fire and smoke. I'm a little quick on the trigger when it comes to making a new paragraph, but that's just kind of how I organize my thoughts. Overturned? No. Drowned out? I don't want to use that one. That doesn't sound quite right. Let's cut. High pitch. Screech. Hey. Oh, I see. Nah, clear the area? Nah, no, 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 no. Clear the area for landing? No, no, no. Because I want this guy to seem like, I want this guy that's coming in, this pilot, to seem like he's like, he's like, how to describe it? He's got like a devil may care sort of attitude, you know? Like he's just coming in and going like, get away! I'm landing, lads! We'll roll with that. I don't know. Probably a better way to phrase that. That's good choice. shock the sleep out of a system, because it's like an electric impulse, You ever have that, or it's like it's in the morning and you get like you ever woken up to like a message on your phone, or like you look at the time and you look at the time and it's like, oh shit, I've got work in 20 minutes, and then like suddenly you're like immediately maximum awake because like the adrenaline just like kicks in. You're like, oh fuck, you know. Uh, Boulder's slick because it's moist, obviously, because we're at an oasis. So behind a slick boulder, the fire struck the sand. Fireball struck. Plowing? No. Going down the palms and plowing through. How far would it go under the momentum? It's like pretty, because like when planes crash, it's pretty far. But this is like a one person sort of device, like flying device, and it's not it probably isn't that quick. So like it probably would be like flying through like I don't know how many feet. Well, we'll guess like we'll say like 60. Nah, 60's too short. Like say 400. Oh, leaving a terrible black streak in its wake. There we go. I always love when there's action. It's my favorite part of writing is when things are happening and I can slow down and just kind of like admire the individual bits and pieces that happen. I had an assignment in one of my writing classes that was just like write a moment that's extremely like slow, like take like just slow, like it's like like that slow motion dodge scene in the Matrix where you decide to just kind of sit back, look at all the individual parts, and then just kind of and just kind of like take each moment as it comes. So like the one I wrote was about I think like a Wild Western like cowboy duel, and one guy shot, and then one guy, it was two guys that were standing there. One guy was like a seasoned gunslinger, the other one was like a jumped up kid. You've if you've seen the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, I think you kind of know what I'm talking about. But like the kid was just like, and the second the kid drew, he like had this. I really capitalized on like this moment of like pride and like glory, where he was like, I did it, I did it, I did it, I drew first, and then he shoots, and then he fucking misses, and then the other guy just kind of like looks at him and just kills him. And by kid, I mean someone who was like 18, probably 18, early 20s. You know, old enough to drink and own a gun, but not old enough to know better. Instead of a streak, we'll go with like a scorch. There we go. Realistically, this pilot should be dead, but this is my story, so he lived. Venezuela was pitch black. Cloud of dust above the end of the mark from stretching from the water out towards of what would it be made out of? Wood and metal. Wood, metal, smoke. Sat in a well of sand because the thing came in from an angle, hit the ground and probably like piled up a bunch of sand around it as it was like pushing through. So like there's like this divot with like a like that the scorched out divot. Like you guys can probably guess what I'm talking about. You ever see like what it looks like after like a plane has crashed in the woods? It's crazy. Like seeing all the stumps and like the shredded trees that are like everywhere, and seeing like the big fucking like mark where the plane just kind of crashed through just a whole bunch of dirt and grass and trees. That's one thing that's kind of wild about forests is that you can really tell where some like shit went down because they'll just be a bunch of trees just missing, just not where they're supposed to be. I'm describing a lot of his emotions, but I'm not really sure how to. I don't know, because it's like they give you the rule show not tell, right? But there are some circumstances in which you're supposed to tell. Like this is all telling right here, and I don't think that's bad. This is this is more showing, and this is I'm kind of trying to put more show in, but like show not tell, I like it a lot. I like it as a rule, but it's more of like a general guideline than it is like a hard and fast anything, because there are circumstances in which telling is just fine, because you want to make sure you get the idea across to your writer, or it's just because you want to explain something. Like I don't think I think sometimes it's like appropriate to give like a whole exposition dump, because if that's what your story like demands, then fucking go for it. But if it's like a lot of if it's just a lot of if you try to show it all, there's a lot of interpretation there, and sometimes it doesn't get through. But also, like, you really don't want a story that's all tell. Stories that are all tell are fucking boring. They're boring, and it makes it feel like you're spelling things out for an audience that really doesn't need it. I kind of hate it. I kind of hate it when there's like a lesson or like a theme or something that a story's supposed to have, and they literally spell it out for you. It's like, well, fucking, it doesn't feel like I'm learning anything then. It doesn't feel like I'm experiencing a story. It feels like I'm just being lectured to, or like I'm just being told to feel a certain way. It's just kind of, it sucks. It's less evocative that way. So there is good reason for show not tell, but sometimes you should tell. Just there's a balance. You got to keep that in mind. It's part of the reason why it's kind of important to like read a lot and expose yourself to a lot of media if you want to make a story, because like you need to kind of get all the different you need to get all the different angles, you know. You need to see all the different ways you could do something and understand what works for me, what doesn't work for me, what works for other people, what doesn't work for other people, you know. And like you gotta take those are all like little bullet points that build up to like a general feeling of like, this is what this is all about, this is what I want to write, this is what my style is going to be, this is how I want to depict this, and then and then when you have that, you'll stick with it, and then you'll develop it, but you have to get there. I don't think I'm quite there yet. I think I've got a style, but I don't really know how I'm supposed to develop it, and I definitely still have a lot to learn. I've got a few lessons, and I can definitely just sit down and put a story out, which is kind of like how I think it's where everyone wants to be, like, because like that from there on out, you can kind of just develop on your own. But for right now, it's just like right now I'm just kind of trying. I need to practice. That's what I need to do. That's what I'm doing right now. We've got nearly 600 words here. That's good. That's good. Just carefully step towards it. Semicolon, whatever. Semicolons are one of those things where it's kind of hard to figure out when you're supposed to use the damn things, because sometimes a comma would work just fine. He's ensconced. I really like that word, ensconced. Ensconced in the tangle was a clad in leather and linen. Fine, leather and linen was a man. Gave a sooty grin. Settling below. Impressive mustache. Morning, bud. He agreed. Had like a coconut against Ford like boom sound happen in my head when I wrote this. Okay. I think this is where we're going to be for today. So let's read so far. So the life of a water carrier is a solitary one. Oases need to be maintained and protected from the influence of dust and disease, so that the waters remain clear and pure for those that need. I had a lot of blank and blank here. Might need to adjust that. When travelers pass by, the carrier goes about the delivery with great reverence, respecting both the oasis and the receivers of her gift in the process. In return, the carrier receives what he needs as proper tribute for his efforts. Under the sweltering gaze of the sun and the desiccated expanse of the great desert, the carrier is a source of much-needed reprieve. Okay. It is a sacred duty, one that elevates him in the eyes of those he helps. He is a monk of the sands, going about his rights and duties without fail. He is a savior. He is a sign of life in a dying world. He is alone. The nomads he treats always keep their distance from the oasis. They offer their flasks and barrels, and he provides his canteens and canisters. Water is given, words are not spoken. They watch him with tired, reverent eyes, too cautious to speak or make conversation. What does one say to the most important person within 100 miles? No one ever dared to try. The carrier that lived north of the New Hope Junction watched a caravan pass by with a sigh. Another group making for the horizon, freshly stocked with water and bantering in good spirits. That left him where he always was, standing amongst the same rocks and carrying the same jugs as ever. They had left him a generous tithe of dates and raisins, tucked neatly into his pantry until they were inevitably eaten and all memory of the caravan faded. There's a silent hope in the back of his mind for something new, something that would stick out and last. A gift, a word, something. Something he actually needed beyond victuals and misplaced reverence. He sighed again, letting the exhale vent the welling pit in his chest. He returned to his humble shack and cast his water vessels aside before retiring to bed in frustration. The carrier woke to a low droning sound that was rapidly... Okay, so next morning. The carrier woke to a low droning sound that was rapidly getting louder. He emerged from his shack, wary of bugs, only to find the immediate area of the oasis clear. Confused and concerned, he craned his head upwards and bore witness to an approaching ball of fire and smoke. The carrier watched, thinking for a moment that he was in a waking dream, before the drone of the oncoming peril was cut by a high-pitched scream. "Get away!" the screeching voice said. "I'm landing!" The carrier scrambled as fear and adrenaline shocked the sleep out of his system, pushing him to sprint to the side as the fireball's light singed the oasis a bright shade of furious orange. Just as the carrier dove behind a slick boulder, the fireball struck the sand, mowing down 3 palms and plowing through 400 feet of sand while leaving a terrible black scorch in its wake. The carrier peeked out from behind the boulder then, and observed the wreckage. The felled palms had been partially shredded, leaving burnt wood fragments everywhere. Rocks had been pulverized. The sand of the site was pitch black, and a cloud of dust was hanging above the whole scene. At the end of the scorch mark stretching from the water out towards the horizon, a tangle of wood, metal, and smoke sat in a deep well of sand. The carrier carefully stepped towards it, his heart beating faster than it ever had. Ensconced in the tangle, clad in leather and linen, was a man. He looked up at the carrier, a sooty grin settling below an impressive mustache. Below, at his abdomen, a gloved hand was gripping a shard of metal embedded deep into his stomach. "Morning, bud," he greeted. "You, wouldn't happen to know first aid or anything, would you? I'm really out of it." He slumped over, his head thumping against a panel of scorched wood. All right. Good start. I like it so far. I'm going to work on this a little bit more. I think I'll work on this a little bit more, maybe throughout the week or like the next week, and see where we end up. I might just save this for like next week or something, and then maybe we can work on it a bit more. But yeah, no, I think it's definitely a good start. I could see some places where I could probably write a bit more, like insert some like definitely maybe flesh this out a little bit, like insert like I think between here and here, I think we could probably describe like the sound of the crash, maybe get a little bit more detail into it to make it seem like really terrible and like sudden and jarring. And then maybe like get a little bit more of the carrier's like internal feelings before he like actually emerges and comes out and like approaches the pilot. But yeah, good start. I like it so far. With that said, I think we are going to close out the stream for today. I'd like to thank you all for joining me. And I would also like to say, I think I'm pretty thrilled this kind of went as smoothly as it did. I was pretty quiet for most of it, but I was kind of expecting that already. I will put up a stream schedule for tomorrow. If any of you came here expecting me to just be like a writer, I actually play video games most of the time. This was a new thing I was doing, so just heads up. But I'll probably have a new schedule up on Twitter tomorrow, at which point I think I will probably stream next time on Thursday. So until then, I hope you guys have a great week, and I hope you all have a fabulous day as well. Thank you very much once again, and goodbye.